Also, Dr. Francis Quest Rosling was my last lecturer.
So we have some really interesting information that I want you to grasp. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to make sure that everybody is on kind of like the same wavelength and frequency to do that. So if we can just, if I can ask you to just please stand and just take hands for a minute. So for those of you who have spaces between you, if you can just come together. Yeah, right. So there's a phenomena that's known as morphic resonance. Morphic means body, and resonance, as you know, or resonate means to move. And when individuals are linked by their hands or certain parts of their body, truly the energy moves from one body to the other, and the energy begins to equilibrate. So that what one person is able to perceive and understand immediately is transferred to the next person, so everybody can get clearly what is being said. Does everybody have hands? Great. So I just want you to kind of just focus on making sure that you can feel the energy or the link connection to the person next to you. And just relax and know that this information really is very old and ancient to you, but we're going to be waking up some genetic memory and giving you some information about a wonderful new perspective as to how you can look at your imbalances or illnesses if you have any. And for those of you that have family members that are perceiving themselves as being ill, that you can really get a clear understanding as to really what's happening to them. So how does everybody feel? Does everybody feel connected? Okay, great. Okay. So why don't we sit down? So for those of you who feel it comfortable to write, fine, but I prefer, how you doing? I prefer that you just kind of relax. The flyer that was passed around the city has a lot of information that could be discussed on these very diseases, prostate disease and uterine fibroids and cancer, and there was just a whole list of stuff. One of the things that I knew about New York City many, many years ago, there used to be a man that, he's still here as I understand, a reverend that used to broadcast in Omaha, Nebraska when I was in medical school. From here to Omaha, and I still listened to him when I had the time. His name was Reverend Ike. I'm sure some of you might have heard of him. You know, so regardless of what your personal opinion might be, he used to say something very interesting, that he used to always say that he never allowed the subject of his discussion to interfere with what he had to say. And so that's the takeoff that we're going to talk about today, because I want you to understand that all the things that are on the flyer definitely have a common cause and have a common solution. So whether it's in males or females, or whether we're looking at illnesses of children, one of the things that I've discovered is that the lack of understanding of what really composes a human being is part of the problem as to why we don't understand what these disfigurements, these imbalances are in the body. I clearly understand that every experience that we have is an opportunity for us to grow and to learn more about ourselves, and truly is an initiation into our God self. Now, please pay close attention to what I'm saying, because when you look in the dictionary, if you look at what the definition of a God is, it is actually a title that is bestowed upon a human being. It is not the proper title to give to that creates all things known and unknown to us. That's a totally different entity. And as a matter of fact, God essence or Godship is part of your destiny and part of your birthright. In the world of physics, there's been a tremendous amount of information that's been expressed mathematically to talk about the unlimitedness relative to the energies present in this dimension that we can absorb to transmute, to transcend, to become all kinds of things. But this energy, this light, literally, can only be assessed with proper consciousness or thought. There's something that we are very concerned about in making sure that in our community, I'm talking about my own race family, that men, and especially the women, begin to understand that there are laws that govern this dimension. And irregardless of whether we are aware of them or not, we still are accountable and will always experience their effects. So when we are living in our own world and we do not understand these greater laws that sustain everything, we really usually are living in opposition to them, and it is the stress, the resistance, and the out of alignment with these laws that govern everything that are responsible for a lot of the discomfort, a lot of the perceptions of inadequacy, etc., that we have. There's nothing that comes to this dimension that does not already have a space in time created for it and has not been endowed with a divine gift and talent that, based upon its mentality, can allow it to be the most wealthiest person in this dimension or the poorest. So when we begin to interview people in my office where they really do not understand that they're here for a specific reason with specific gifts and talents that are innate and natural, that flow through them, and that there are people waiting to give them whatever they might want for these talents. There are people waiting to supply them with the resources necessary to provide the talent, etc. And they really begin to feel that they're just out here on their own, that they have to compete. Just a litany of very debilitating, non-esteeming concepts. Immediately disease begins to enter into the vehicle of that individual. Now, let's get a clear understanding of what it is to be human. Most of us are still walking around thinking that having a physical body is what composes being a human being. That is a component of being a human. But the greatest attributes and the seed immortality for being a human comes from the mental and emotional and soul bodies. Now, people walk around talking about spirituality, etc., but when we talk about this from an energetic level, and when we look at what the spirit is, it is actually a force that an individual creates for themselves based upon a particular type of lifestyle that involves interaction between the mental and emotional body. When we begin to sit and listen to people who come to us with diseases in their physical body, the first thing we begin to note is that these individuals have no rapport at all with their emotional body. They don't know what they feel. They don't allow themselves to feel. Or what they do feel, they recognize that they force their body to do something totally contradictory to that. When we are listening to their values and their belief systems, when we ask, why do you have this value? Why do you have this belief system? It isn't anything that they necessarily are truly rooted in wanting to believe for themselves on many instances. It is because of either inherited values and belief systems or assumed values and belief systems because of the numbers of people who are saying and doing the same thing, that they just accept this as a norm. However, the bottom line is that when they recognize that what they espouse and what they believe on a mental level is totally in conflict to what they're doing on a emotional level, and then they force their body to do something totally different from the mental and emotional body, it is real. Now, how is it real? And this is finally what's coming to the forefront. There is a science known as psychoneuroimmunology, and this is something that I'm very fascinated with and have decided to dedicate the rest of my life to, because very few of us are recognizing that the etheric aspects of ourselves, our emotions, our thoughts, become physical when